This is Jamal Crawford from the Blackstonian, Blackstonian.com, and we are on the line with Stephen James, and we want everyone to know that this conversation is being recorded for the purposes of proving Mr. James' innocence in a crime that he has been unjustly incarcerated and is still wrongfully imprisoned for. So this interview is in an effort to explain the case, to look at some of the discrepancies, and ultimately prove the innocence of Mr. Stephen A. James. So, sir, how are you this afternoon? It's good to have you on the line.
Yes, I'm doing all right. How you doing, Paul? Doing all right.
All right. So, a lot of people from the Boston area are already familiar with you by another name, and so you are the famous MC from back in the day when hip-hop was just beginning out that most of the community knows as OrangeMan. And if you could let the people know a little bit just about, where you came up at as a young man, talk to us a little bit about the history of the legend of OrangeMan and, what kind of brought you to that point and your young years in this community before this tragic situation happened.
Yeah, well, I came up, in the 80s at Four Corners, doing shows and stuff like that. Back then it wasn't Jeff Two Times, it was DJ Smalls, DJ Sinbad. Before Benzino was Benzino, Ray Dog, Kevski, basically doing shows, making a name for ourselves with like New Kids on the Block, New Edition, So-and-So, Fat Boys, from MC Shan to LL Cool J, to doing a bunch of shows, trying to just make a big name for ourselves, trying to expose the rap game in Boston, not only for being in New York, but showing them that Boston had some of the hottest rap groups in the United States too, But at the time, right, in '89, I had just got out incarcerated, had doing 18 months skit. I was doing my own thing. I was going by myself, me and the kid Disco Pete Beatbox kid. But I had made an album called Summer Madness, so I was trying to promote my own stuff and stuff like that. Like the worst thing in my life was trying to do somebody a favor and going out to Brockton to do a cookout and stuff like that. And the cookout turned out to be a life sentence by the district attorney's office, doing a bunch of miscarriage of justice and withholding evidence and stuff like that. You understand?
So even this case itself just happened because you were a young MC known on the streets of Boston to be nice, still of legend and one of the most respected freestylers, MCs out of Boston. And it was in that capacity that somebody that you knew was like, hey, can you come out here to this cookout and perform and do a show? And so you were doing that, and then that's when you picked up this case when these unfortunate circumstances happened. That's correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so now let's get into the case. So break down what happened. So there you were at the cookout, and what's next?
All right, I went to the cookout. After the cookout, we went to a club, enjoyed ourselves and stuff like that. The next day, word around was that two people had got shot around the north side of Brockton. Two kids that I knew, like good friends of mine, So me, being who I am, my grandmother tells me after a while, like, the police is looking for you. So I didn't want her to worry or nothing that. So what I did was I went and turned myself in. When I get to the police station, they didn't even know what I was there for. So when I got there, I'm like, y'all came to my grandmother's house, questioning her about me being involved. He's like, wait a minute. Then the next thing you know, they arrested me and put me in a cell. I go in a cell.
And hold on, if you don't mind, let's pause there, because the first thing from my little bit of street experience is you heard the police were looking for you. You went yourself to the station to see what this was about. Now, generally, from my experience, that's not usually the actions of a guilty man. A guilty man would have hit the highway, but definitely been trying to avoid the police, not go there to see what the problem is. So I just wanted to note that seems, just initially, that doesn't seem to be the reaction of a guilty man when being told police are looking for you.
Exactly, and plus I know I didn't have nothing to do with it, and plus I didn't want my grandmother worrying, so I went there. after being in the cell for a while, the state troopers came. They placed me in a cell. Next thing you know, some state troopers, Paula Lau and Michael Arnold, comes and question me. So they're asking me, yo, what happened on the night of September 4th, Labor Day? I explained to them. They kept asking me, yo, well, what did you do after the cookout? I said, I went to a club. Well, what did you do before the club? I went to a cookout. So they kept questioning me. Like, well, you got a future in front of you. Don't get involved in something where you can't get yourself out of. I said, listen, I'm telling you the truth, and you can ask anybody that tell you that I was a cookout and that I went to the club. After a while, they just said, well, we don't believe you, and placed me in the cell. Then they asked me before going to the cell, well, if you want to help us help you, then have one of the other officers get in contact with us. I said, well, I still don't know what you're talking about. Next thing you know, the next morning, I'm charged with conspiracy to commit murder. So I'm placed in Plymouth County. My lawyer at the time, he's telling me, well, listen, they're going to try to indict you for conspiracy to commit murder. I said, how can they try to indict me for something I ain't got nothing to do with? He said, well, I don't know. Long story short, they didn't indict me for conspiracy to murder. They indicted me for joint venture. Now that I finally find out now is that, I didn't hear you.
Well, I didn't say anything, but I would like to say, don't just gloss that over. So how does it go from conspiracy to joint venture?
They go from conspiracy to joint venture because the DA's office knew they didn't have no evidence of conspiracy. So what they did
So they figure they're going to do something to change it up, to make it fit.
Yeah, so what they did was they went and got a juvenile witness that I know today that didn't have his mother or an attorney present when he went to the grand jury for them to get an indictment off a joint venture.
So they found a witness. They took a young man, underage, a minor. They questioned, interrogated him without a lawyer or a parent present. Then they presented him to the grand jury with a testimony against you based on this underage minor witness who they weren't even supposed to question without a lawyer or without. So basically they intimidated / bullied, these are my words, intimidated / bullied or / planted this information with this child, and then after probably several hours of berating him and repeating this information, they got him to co-sign it. That's usually how these things go in my experience. So they pulled out this minor witness, and now he is presenting his testimony, coerced testimony, I'm sure, presenting his evidence for the grand jury, and this is what ends up getting you indicted.
Yes, that got me indicted. Now in 1990, I filed a motion in July to be furnished with rewards of inducement, and the motion was allowed. Also, I filed in September 1990 a speedy trial motion. And all these, let's get it straight so everybody will know, and it won't be no misunderstanding. When I filed the motion in July and I filed the motion for speedy trial, it's in front of Judge Matthews, my same trial attorney. So in 1992, 34 months later, since the day I've been arrested, they bring me to trial on May 7th. Before going to trial on May 7th, they brought in both witnesses, the immunized witness and the kid that was a juvenile at the time. He was 15 years old when he went to the grand jury. At this time, he was 17. Both witnesses, Jamal, pled the fifth. This startled the judge. So the judge say, hold on, what's going on? He like, yo, I don't want to testify. And he kept the juvenile witness. He was like, well, you're going to testify. He's like, well, I don't want to testify. He said, well, why you don't want to testify? The same juvenile witness told him on record, I don't want to testify because I don't want to incriminate myself. So that should have told the judge, obviously, right there, if you don't want to incriminate yourself and you ain't got nothing to do with this murder, obviously you don't want to say something that is going to contradict what you said at the grand jury. You understand what I'm saying? So what happened was, after that, the judge said, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you back to Dedham House Correction, and if you want to say something before you leave, you can say something. But I never knew that they called, before that they called this kid up to an office, the DA's office, and gave him a deal to testify.
So this kid who's now a little bit older but still a teenager, still not an adult, and thinking with adult judgment. So they got him under pressure, and now he initially does not want to testify because he says he could incriminate himself, which means that he knows that he perjured himself before because of coerced testimony, and then now he doesn't want to repeat that because it could mess him up. And then he is at the same time persuaded by the DA to continue with this bogus testimony and keep the lie alive because they got something on him and he was promised a deal, meaning leniency on whatever he was going through, if he would be a good witness for their false prosecution. Is that correct?
Yes, but first, let me rewind it. The judge told him if he didn't testify, he's going to hold him in contempt of court.
And go into the Dedham House of Corrections.
Yeah, they're gonna hold both witnesses in contempt of court. You know what I'm saying? Not only did they mess my life up, they had messed this kid's life up too by threatening him and to do a whole bunch of stuff. Now after that, or the next day, the May 8th, this is a Friday.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Well, I gotta try to call right back.
Yes, sir, that's all right. We'll pause it right there. Call us right back.
All right.
Okay, brother, so you're back. So go ahead and pick up right from where we left off, if you would.
All right, so I come back to court the next day. They start trial. Now it's strange how I go to trial on a Friday, May 8th, but I'm in Walpole Wednesday. I get convicted Wednesday. It was only a 3-day trial. Now in my case with joint venture, the judge knew out the gate that they didn't have no evidence because he kept questioning the DA, like, when are you going to present evidence of joint venture? The DA, I'm going to prove joint venture with Mr. Alright, so the judge says, when are you going to present evidence of joint venture? I'm going to prove joint venture with Mr. James saying this and Mr. James saying that. When they question the witness, I never said nothing. So the judge asked him, like, what are you talking about? What did Mr. James say? He never said nothing. So at sidebar, the judge says, well, I think it's only appropriate if you present evidence of joint venture. But the DA never presented evidence of joint venture, and my lawyer, every time the DA said something at sidebar, this is what the tricky part about it. The DA says, I'm gonna get Mr. James was saying, are you going to punk out? Alright, the judge says, are you going to punk out? He says, yes. When they question the witness, the immunized witness, the supposedly getaway driver, he says, Mr. James didn't say nothing. My co-defendant said that. So then at sidebar, the judge said, well, I think that Mr. James could be a lookout. My lawyer says, how can he be a lookout? He's 6 to 7 blocks away. There's no way possible he can be a lookout. See, this is the whole thing, is Jamal. There's 3 of us supposedly in the car. Me, the immunized witness, the getaway driver, and Casper Ford. In the car, I'm the only one charged, and my lawyer's saying that at sidebar, like Your Honor, I want you to let the jury know that out of 3 people that's in this vehicle, the only one being charged is my client. The judge said, well, I don't know why that's relevant. He said, why is it not relevant? It's only reality that if the jury know that my client and there's somebody else in the car that's not being charged, why is only my client being charged? The judge said, that's irrelevant. And I said, you're right. Then he said that I could be a lookout. Then my lawyer broke it down to him how I couldn't be a lookout. So what the judge says, you're right, he can't be a lookout. Now that I can't be a lookout, the judge instructed him on me being a lookout. Why would you tell my lawyer at sidebar I can't be a lookout, then go and instruct him about me being a lookout? Then at sidebar, my lawyer said, I object to Your Honor. There's no evidence that he did anything. There's no evidence that he knew anything. That's one of the elements of joint venture. The judge said, yeah, you're right. That's one of the elements of joint venture. So if you agree with my attorney that one of the elements of joint venture doesn't exist, why do you go and instruct the jury on joint venture? You know not one of the elements didn't exist, but in my case, I can prove not one, present at the scene, because I'm 7-8 blocks away. 2, knowledge, that I knew somebody attempted to commit a crime because the judge agreed with my lawyer at sidebar that didn't exist, and available to help others if necessary. I'm unarmed. The supposedly getaway driver, the immunized witness testified that I'm unarmed. The immunized witness testified I never left his side. The immunized witness testified that he's the getaway driver. So if he's the getaway driver, I'm unarmed, I'm 7-8 blocks or 6-7 blocks away. How can I help? There's no way possible. And not only with the judge was screwing me out the gate, wasn't letting none of the stuff that I said at sidebar get to the jury. The DA knew after testimony of both witnesses, the immunized witness and the juvenile witness, he knew he didn't have no case. So what he did was he had the same state trooper that interviewed the juvenile witness to go to the grand jury to bring a gun, a .38 Smith & Wesson to trial that wasn't an exhibit or evidence in my case to trial, and pull it out on the stand like, yeah, this is a .38 Smith & Wesson, and then the judge didn't even instruct the jury like, listen, this is not the weapon used in this case. Instead of my lawyer with the same look, go ahead.
Let's just pause right there for the people, because I want people to really understand how important that is. Because what you said is the DA told the officer to bring in a gun, not as evidence. It's not entered in or none of that. But he tried to cheat because he was really trying to sneak it in and use it as evidence without calling it evidence or going through the proper protocols to submit evidence. So what he ends up doing is showing the people some sort of replica look-alike of the same type of gun, but the jury, who number one is not familiar with guns, period, is shown this gun and led to believe or led to perhaps think that could be the gun that was used in the actual crime.
Exactly. And I'm not saying this I'm not saying this just to be saying it. I'm explaining this to you that you know why that this officer was told by the DA's office to bring this gun in. Because when he pulled it out on the stand, he told the judge, Your Honor, don't worry, the pin's been taken out of this weapon. So you're telling me that an officer is just walking around with a .38 without the pin in it? The same kind of replica of a gun that was used in the murder. So that shows you that the DA office had him bring that gun to trial. You understand what I'm saying?
That shows two things. Yes, that shows prior conversation and for them to plan that. And it shows preparation, obviously, on the officer's part to then have the pin removed or come with a gun that already had the pin removed because he was told to do so. And then it also shows a blatant attempt by the DA out of Plymouth County to bias or influence the jury.
Exactly. And then when the judges, because listen, when my lawyer is telling the judge, listen, Your Honor, there's no evidence that he did anything, and there's no evidence that he knew anything, that's after the closing arguments. You understand what I'm saying? So the judge knew. The judge knew that I couldn't be a lookout, and he knew that joint venture didn't exist. The whole thing is this. They showed the kid a map at trial. When they showed him the map at trial, they said, where did you park your car? He said, where I parked my car is not on there. Not only did the district attorney office do misconduct at my trial, they did it at the highest level at the SJC. When I went to my appeal, not only did they let the SJC get their misstatements of facts, the SJC moved the crime scene 226 feet from the actual crime scene.
So this is another critical piece here. Let's stop there for a minute. So in the beginning of the thing, they were saying you, Stephen James, was here at this location. And then when that didn't fit, they moved the crime scene to where you in fact were.
Yes. No, they didn't move.
So they couldn't make you fit at the crime scene, so they made the crime scene fit you.
Yes, exactly.
So I just want to be clear on that for people who don't, know how this works. And also, too, tell the people what the SJC is.
The SJC is the Supreme Judicial Court. Now, when you put your appeal in, you go in front of them. Now, when I did put my appeal in, my appeal was denied because of the SJC did their misstatements of fact with the DA's opposition brief. All the facts in the DA's opposition brief was misstatements of facts was wrong. So when the SJC made their decision, they made it on misstatements of facts. They moved the crime scene 226 feet. They moved me being closer to the crime scene. At one point, the SJC said, I'm in the car. On 2 pages later, they say I'm out the car. They contradict themselves. And let's get something straight. My trial lawyer and my appeal lawyer is Robert George. He's been disbarred. The kid, the juvenile that went to the grand jury is Larry Novak. He's been disbarred. So my lawyer, all he had to do when the SJC came back with their misstatements of fact is put another brief in to have them fix their facts. But they didn't do that. For the longest, I've been dealing with so many attorneys that's telling me, oh, you're actually innocent. I don't believe you've been locked up and doing this. And they've been telling me and my brother that's on the phone with me, Dave, they've been saying, oh, we're going to get him out. He don't deserve to be in there. And they ain't did nothing yet. You're the first person that's really willing to help and give us all your help and your input on the situation. But listen, I gotta lock in, bro. Do you want me to call you back?
Yeah, let's try again and let's keep this going.
All right, I'll call back. Do you hear me, D?
Yeah, got you.
All right,
peace.
Y'all too.
Peace. Okay, so once again, this is Jamal Crawford with the Blackstonian, Blackstonian.com, and we have back on the line Stephen A. James, a.k.a. OrangeMan. We were disconnected. We're back on the line now. So if you'd like to pick up, you were talking about some of the discrepancies in what was presented before the SJC, where they had placed you at one point in the vehicle, at another point out the vehicle, where they had changed the crime scene location. And then also you were speaking about lawyers who had promised help and who none had come through. And you know how you've been dealing with a lot of disappointment with getting legal assistance around this matter. So if you'd like to pick up from there.
Yeah, well, no, the whole situation with the lawyers is that like every lawyer that I had looked at my case, they have told me, and they also had told my brother Dave, like, yo, your brother's actually innocent. I don't believe he's in there. Plus, I had did all my legal work myself. Like I showed them how the SJC misstatements of facts. If they want the SJC, the appeal courts, fix their misstatements of facts, I'll be exonerated of all the charges. You know what I'm saying? They said it, even in their decision, they like, you have to prove 3 elements to joint venture. Present at the scene, knowledge and one intent to commit a crime, and available. And all their evidence that they got in their decision at SJC is false facts. Is not. One, they can't prove it. If they ask the DA, well, prove this that in your opposition brief where this happened. The DA can't prove it because they're facts. Moving the crime scene 226 feet, putting me near the crime scene, none of that exists in my case. Now, if my lawyer would have just put in the brief, and telling the SJC, like, all right, you came back with your decision. I understand you came back with your decision, but all your facts are wrong. And not only that, Jamal, when I put my first Rule 30, I only put one Rule 30 in. I put a Rule 30 in front of Judge Linda Giles, and she denied me on the same misstatements of facts that the SJC used. So when I was talking to my lawyer, well, he's not my lawyer, he's my godfather's lawyer. He told me, like, you're in a no-win situation. I asked him, what do you mean I'm in a no-win situation? He said, until the SJC fix their facts, you're in a domino effect for failure. I said, well, can you explain that to me? He's like, all right, first and foremost, if you get a lawyer, your lawyer are going with the facts that the SJC are presenting. And in order for you to get your case overturned, you will have to find evidence that the SJC facts are what they are. I said, I can't do that. He said, exactly, because the SJC facts doesn't exist. We got to prove to the SJC that, listen, your facts are moving the crime scene 226 feet. All right, let's move the crime scene back to where it's supposed to be. And ask the M&I's witness, how far are you from the intersection of Walnut and Wyman? He says 5 minutes away. But when you add another 226 feet, it's 6 minutes away. When they asked him where you parked, he said, I'm not on the map. So the SJC, it ain't their fault that they are. It ain't their fault that they made a mistake with their misstatements of facts. It's on the district attorney office that they knew when the SJC came back with their decision that all their facts was wrong, and because they the court of the law, and my lawyer is an officer of the law, they were supposed to address the situation right then. But now, I can't do that with my lawyer, because if I'd have just went to the feds, and the feds would have, First Circuit would have fixed it. But since my lawyer, he's been on the investigation for so long, or whatever, now that he's disbarred, I can prove that it was ineffective on him for not fixing the facts. And the lady Jean Fielding and Greg Schubert, the one that did my Rule 30, I talked to her. She's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that. I'm willing to give you an affidavit. Now I had, my family had hired Michelle Brennan. She's been telling me and my brother, oh, you're innocent. You know you're innocent. I'm going to get you out of there. We're going to file a motion to correct the record. She hasn't done none of that. So I'm just at a standstill. If I can sit down with anybody for 10, 15 minutes, I can show them the facts and put it right in front of their face. You understand what I'm saying, Jamal?
Absolutely, and I think it's important for the people to know, and as well as other journalists who may, listen to this and want to do a story, lawyers, they should all know that you have provided me with documentation. It clearly proves all of this and spells it all out in black and white. So I don't want people to think that this is just, your version of events that you're just saying verbally, but you actually have done your homework, and you do have all of the paperwork, which shows what you're saying is true and shows that the justice system has failed you and society in general in this case, because it's failed the victim as well.
Yeah, I mean, I stay on my legal work. If I'd have did that when I first came in, but when I first came into the system, it was a whole different type of situation. Like the older dudes, they tell me, you'll go to the library, stay on your stuff, and so I never stayed focused, you know what I'm saying? Until my daughter told me one day like, Dad, I'm lost without you. You know what I'm saying? And for her to say that to me, and you know what I'm saying, she was in a bad car accident, and for her to come out of that accident and fight for her life, who am I not to fight for my life and take care of my responsibility and take care of her like I'm supposed to do,
Absolutely. And of course, too, we got to also keep in mind that, when this happened, you're young. And, you're not trained to be a lawyer. So oftentimes we get grinded up in the system based on our limited knowledge, our lack of funds and resources. And this is exactly why so many of us get swept under the rug. But I'm glad we're about to turn the tables on that, continue to get your story heard, and hopefully get you some assistance and get somebody with the right mind to take a fresh look at this case and take a look at those facts and the facts that were presented that weren't actual facts, and get some justice here. So to that effect, what are the next steps for you? Like, what is it that you want people to do?
See, I just want somebody to, first and foremost, I'm trying to get anybody, I'm trying to just sit down with somebody and explain, like, into deep details of my whole situation. Like, even with the judge in my case, the judge said at sidebar, and I got it on record, he's like, tell me what you want me to say about adoptive admission. I never understood it when I was in law school. So if you never understood it when in law school, so how are you going to instruct it to the jury if you still don't understand it? The judge did. I just want somebody to sit down and understand that the Plymouth District County is corrupt. They've been corrupt since back in the days. They've been doing stuff for holding the evidence, false facts, threatening. I know for a fact that the kid that they threatened and had to go to the grand jury, I know they threatened him. I know they put him in a situation and pushed him against the wall and stuff like that and scared him, you know. And that's why his mother, to this day, is like she never knew nothing was going on. And somebody should have told her that they wanted to question her son. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I think it's also important for people to note, a lot of people know Darryl Jones, who recently got released after doing 30-odd years, 32, I believe, also for a crime he didn't commit. And that was also took place in Brockton with the Brockton police. And it also took place, obviously, if it's in Brockton, with the Plymouth County DA. So as people, when he got released, and we're talking about in the news, via NPR and local news and the newspaper reports, everyone was saying that this period of time, corruption was rampant, and a case like his makes a note that these cases from that time period need to be looked at with a fresh lens. And your case is one of those cases. And dare I say, this is a very egregious violation of justice and demands to be looked at, and you need to be free.
Yes, no question. No questions. Not only is that the situation, I've been going in circles because I got letters from the Innocent Project saying they're willing to help me and do like that if I had an attorney. The attorney all they gotta do is get in contact with them. But this is how much foul that the Plymouth County District Attorney Office is. For months, almost over a year, New England Innocent Project and me also been trying to get my files out of Plymouth District County. They will not turn my files over for the simple fact they know if they turn my files over, they're going to be caught up in a whole bunch of lies and stuff like that. So, so with the New England Innocent Project, they're like, yo, yeah, we filed numerous motions trying to get your files, but we're not getting them. And I'm trying to explain to my lawyer, like, why don't you call? Well, at the time, Michelle Bennett, I done fired her. I don't know why I hired her in the first place. But at the time, I'm telling her, all you got to do is go in front of the SJC. Once we get in front of the SJC, Jamal, the SJC is going to ask her, well, how do you know your facts are the real facts? Because I got trial transcripts. Everything that I'm telling you is facts. Everything that the district attorney's office told you in their opposition brief, tell them to show you, produce it in a trial transcript where their facts are real. And they're not going to be able to do it.
Right. So your appeal is denied based on false information, misstatement of facts, and now it's difficult to get anybody to take another look and hear it because your lack of legal representation and so forth. So now what we hope to do is bring media attention on this, which will do two things. Hopefully the system itself will open this back up, take a look and do the right thing. But also, too, this should spark the interest of lawyers, particularly those that deal with wrongful imprisonment, false incarceration, and civil rights matters. So I think that this is, worthy of somebody to spend some time and give this the attention it deserves, because being in jail for a crime you did not commit has got to be one of the most serious travesties of justice that can occur in this system. There really is almost nothing else worse. Bad enough being in jail, but being there for a crime that you did not commit. So we have to work hard and get people to take a serious look at this case for the sake of justice and your freedom.
Yes. See, I think my mistake was with hiring a lawyer. I had Greta Janus, may she rest in peace. She had my case for a couple of months and stuff like that, but I didn't know she was diagnosed with cancer and stuff like that. But in a few months that she did have my stuff, she went hard for me and stuff like that. So I like to say rest in peace to her. But what I did was I had somebody out of Rosemary Capicchio office, but they just kept prolonging me, and so I got bamboozled into hiring Michelle. Now, there might be people that was willing to help me, but when you got an attorney, they don't want to, I guess they got some kind of, if you got an attorney, no other attorney want to talk to you because it's I guess it's a violation
of professional code
or whatever. Yeah. So, no attorney wanted to talk to me because I had Michelle. But now that I have terminated Michelle, I'm willing to sit down with whoever's willing to listen to my story, and I appreciate any help that I can get from anybody and stuff like that. Not only do I appreciate it, my brother on the phone appreciate it, my daughter appreciate it, my family appreciate it. You know, I just want to, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, Jamal, I want to thank you, because it's like you, the step that you took for me, and I ain't got that step from nobody in years, and I've been walking a long journey with my bro, and it seems like every time we take one step forward, we take two steps backwards, you know?
Well, nobody deserves this, and I stand for justice and truth, and I know you didn't do it. The evidence shows that and supports that, and we need to flip this thing over, turn this thing around. Now, you know, with that, I'm gonna end off. We know that our mission is to spread the word on this, so all the people who are hearing this interview, please pass it on and spread the word in the name of justice. We want to get the media involved. We want to get lawyers and civil rights organizations involved. So, you know, people like the ACLU, the NAACP, obviously the Innocence Project is already aware. But people need to take a look at this case and talk about it, particularly in the wake of the return home, the newly gained freedom of Darrell Jones from the same county, corrupt Plymouth County at that time in the 80s, and corrupt now, and corrupt Brockton police as well, and then even the state police even got in and colluded with this miscarriage of justice. So with all that, we're going to be on that mission of getting the story out there, creating more awareness. So now I just want to say, any more comments you have to wrap it up, any messages you want to send out there to family and friends who are listening. There's a lot of people who care and have concern for you and are asking where you've been and how's he doing and what's up. So any final words for the people, please?
Yeah, I have to call right back so I can get that message.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll hold tight for that message.
All right.
Okay, so we have Brother Stephen James, a.k.a. OrangeMan, back on the line. So let's continue. Whatever words you have for the people. There's a lot of people out there who got love for you, want to know what's going on, how you doing and everything. So you got some words for the people?
Yeah, I got a few words for the people. First and foremost, if you're listening to this, you know, ain't no love lost and stuff like that. It's been a long time. I've still been fighting for my freedom and stuff like that. And I want to thank anybody that's willing to help me, and I appreciate any help that I can get, physically, mentally. I'm still sharp as ever. I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do to get ahead and make sure that my mind stays focused on coming home. I never had the front door out of my reach. Is just that it's dead. I just can't reach it. I just need a few help and a few steps from y'all to help me get my freedom back. And whoever do help me, not only do I appreciate from the bottom of my heart, my daughter appreciate from the bottom of my heart, the wife appreciate from the bottom of my heart, as well as my brothers and stuff like that. So if you're willing to take this step and take this journey with me, all you have to do is get in contact with Jamal, or Jamal will give you my information. And if you need to get in contact with me, Jamal will have you call my brother Dave. All right, I thank you and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
All right. So there you have it, folks. Once again, Stephen A. James, a.k.a. OrangeMan, here with me, Jamal Crawford, on Blackstonian, Blackstonian.com. Now, I want to make sure everybody out there also understands there's a website, freeorangeman.org. You can get more information about the case. You can get his address if you want to write a brother. You can reach out on Facebook and all that. And you can see all the information clearly. It's there for everybody to see. So if you check it out, freeorangeman.org, and check in. So, my brother, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. We're going to work hard on this thing, and we're going to bring you home, brother. We're going to try with everything that we got and get the lawyers involved, the media involved. We're going to get people talking about this, looking at this, discussing this, and our goal is for you to have your freedom and be reunited with your family.